I know you're gonna dig this.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and once again, welcome to the Funk Chronicles. I'm your host, Dr. Turk Logan from Logan Communication and the Funk Music Hall of Fame and Exhibition Center. And I'm telling you, when we get into this interview, this is gonna be a fun interview here. We're gonna have some laughs and more laughs because the two gentlemen I have are very, very dear friends. They're from Dayton, Ohio.
Way back.
Way back. One is Thomas Shelby from Dayton, Ohio, and the other is Steve Shockley from Dayton, Ohio. Steven's out in California. We're Skyping him. Good morning, Steve. I'm doing okay, man. We're getting a little bit of feedback, but they'll take care of that in the studio. Let me talk to Tom a little bit. Tom and I have a little bit more history because when we started, when Tom and I started, you were probably still in diapers, to be perfect.
Well, I don't know. Stevie's a bit old too.
Yeah, but now he's not as old as we are, though.
Correct.
He's not as old as we are. But anyway, Tom, you and I go back to grade school together. Westwood. I tell you, Westwood in Dayton, Ohio. Man, that's in the 60s.
That was a long time ago.
Tell me.
Let's not tell them what year.
Well, tell us about your dreams and ambitions and when did they start to evolve?
Well, you know what, John? Believe it or not, my ambition was to play basketball and baseball.
Okay.
I had always been around music because my mom plays, she reads, and my dad sung. We always had a piano in the house. I was never interested in it. I was going to be a basketball player or a baseball player.
Okay.
Westwood changed my life.
All right. How did Westwood change your life?
The first talent show I had ever gotten into was at Westwood. I got in as a backup singer. And our director, who did the music for us, she didn't like the song. She said, "You guys know anything else?" I said, "Well, I know a song by the name, the guy Jackie Wilson.
Okay.
Baby Workout."
Baby Workout.
I did that, and the rest was history.
And I tell you, man, because I remember one of the football coaches, Mr. Manus.
Right, Mr. Manus.
I remember Mrs. Fisher, the gorgeous Mrs. Fisher. You remember her back in the 7th grade at Westwood. So we have a great history. Stevie, when did you realize that you wanted to be what you eventually became as a great musician? At what age? I don't know if he can hear me or not.
Yeah.
So now we're in the 7th grade. We move on to Roosevelt.
Cultural shock.
Cultural shock, you know. But you know, a lot of people don't know, and they will when they see you and how dapper you are and how dapper you always are. Because in high school, we had a club called the Esquire. You remember that?
What you know about that?
Hey,
you was part of it.
Yeah.
That's why I know.
That's
I
right.
was too. Yeah.
But the mission of the Esquires was to be respectful.
That's right.
To our teachers.
That's right.
To the young ladies.
That's right.
And to be
a gentleman.
And to be dressed all the time.
Right.
Suit and tie all the time.
And that was before the magazine came out.
That was before the magazine came out, the Esquires.
And
it was me and you and
Philip Bass.
Chris
Jones, bless his heart, who
passed on. And there was Roger
right.
Smith, and there was Fred Richardson.
I was going to say the Richardson boy.
I mean,
his younger brother wanted to be so bad, but he was just too young.
Yeah. So we started at an early age setting the format, the concrete format on how we wanted to be and how we are now.
Right. I look at you, not much has changed.
Well, and same way with you. No,
Gentlemen.
not much
All
has
about a
changed.
gentleman.
And that's what it is. That's the spirit. And so now you formed in high school. What did you do in high school as far as music is
Music. A gentleman by the name of Charles Spencer.
Okay.
I was scared as heck.
We
People
all
had
were.
told me from Westwood, don't get into Spencer. Don't go to Spencer. The thing about Charles Spencer, he had perfect pitch.
Right.
Perfect pitch, okay? He played trumpet. I remember orientation.
Right.
I get tapped on the back. Said, your name Thomas Shelby? Yes, sir. I want you in my choir. I stutter. I tried to lie. I can't get it on my schedule. Don't worry about it. See you tomorrow. A, B, periods. Remember we had A, B, and C?
Right.
And the rest was, he was so far ahead of his time. John, he used to record practices.
Well, you know, Mr. Spencer, like you said, Tom, was so far ahead of his time, and he trained some great musicians. You know,
Junie,
Junie, some of the Ohio play, other members of the Ohio players.
plenty members from the Ohio players.
And he was just a great person.
Person.
As you got a
Yeah, he
chance to know, he
was.
was. You know, he
He was a disciplinarian.
well.
I like that about him.
As he should have been.
Right, right.
Keep everybody.
And you
on
know what
track,
happened
keep
being
everybody
that?
focused.
Every time we went to the state competition, we won.
Okay.
Choirs, glee clubs,
Right.
we won.
Stevie, are you there? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm listening.
Okay. When your craft started to evolve, what year? How old were you when your craft started to evolve?
Well, I got into nightclubs when I was about 14 years old. And
What
I
did
got a
you
guitar when I was 12.
what did you play when you were 12 to 14 years old?
What did I play?
What instrument?
Oh, well, you know, I was trying to be little Stevie Wonder. I had bongos, I had a harmonica, and that just let my mother know that I wanted to be in the music.
Did mom support you when you were a young age and you wanted to be in the music business?
Yeah, because I was playing out at the Oakleaf Club till 5 in the morning, and I was like
He wasn't
14
even old
years
enough to be
old.
in there.
Well, you know, it's an interesting story about the Oakleaf Club and Dr. Logan and the Ohio players. And so I might as well tell you that story now since, you know, I was raised in Germantown, Ohio with my grandparents, so I knew my way around the woods in Germantown. And then as I got older, like you, I had no business being in the club. Anyway. But one night I was in there and the Ohio Untouchables were performing with a group called, the opening group was called the Powder Puff Review. And you know, the transvestite is high profile today for obvious reasons.
They did that dance, the booty green? or
Yeah.
something?
But 50 years ago, transvestites were
Ooh-wee.
still around then.
Then, that's right.
And what
That's right.
these talented performers did,
right.
they danced on stage and they danced with boa constrictors and pythons and frilly neck wraps and
The wraps.
they put on a super show. So I'm sitting
They
at,
would call them flaming now.
there, right. Well, I'm sitting at the bar and there's this woman with her back to me, long brown hair, and I'm from Roosevelt, so I'm good to go.
Yeah, you ready now.
So I'm gonna buy this woman a drink, and I tapped this woman on the shoulder, and she turned around and turned out to be a man.
Probably Chastain. Stevie got some stories.
I bet he does. And so I couldn't do nothing but laugh at myself, you know, and strike up a conversation and then eventually ease off the chair.
Right.
And go home.
But they had plenty of men after them.
Oh, I'm sure they did.
Well, see, that was probably Brenda McNair that you tapped on the shoulder.
It probably was. It probably was because, you know, I was so embarrassed. I didn't know who it was at the time. But anyway, we've had experiences with transvestites 50 years ago. So when I see it today on TV, it ain't no big thing. It's like,
They're building up Jenner.
yeah,
Bruce.
exactly. Come on, you know. But anyway, So you played at a very young age at the Oakleaf Club. I visited the Oakleaf Club to see the Ohio Untouchables and the Powder Puff Review. When did the group start, Lakeside Express start to evolve? How did that, one of you guys want to tell me about how that?
Let Stevie start that, then I'll come in with some.
Okay, Steve, you tell me about Lakeside Express.
Well, we were in Dayton, Ohio, and this radio record man from Chicago, Eddie Thomas. Tom was the other half of Turk Records with Curtis Mayfield. And he came down to Dayton and to see us because, we had a little reputation going. Called the Nomads, well, we were called the Young Underground, just the Young Underground, but we were once the Nomads in the Young Underground.
Okay.
And we were called the Young Underground, and so they wanted us to go compete in this talent show thing, but they didn't like the name of the group.
Okay.
So for one night, and a lot of people don't know this, for one night we were called the Equations 4+4.
Okay.
That's because we had 4 singers and 4 members in the band.
All right.
That's when we changed our name because they didn't like it. So when we got to Chicago,
Right.
the Kurt Tom deal fell through, and Eddie Thomas started his own record label, Lakeside. And so we were in his office, and you could see this newspaper or magazine or something across the lake called the Lakeside Express. You could see that from his office window.
It's funny.
And at that time, we had Mark Wood's sister in the group, Shirley. So Shirley was originally a member, the very first members of the Lakeside Express. And the record deal, even Eddie Thomas couldn't get his label off the ground. But check this out. Our songwriters was Chuck Jackson and Marvin Yancey. Now, they went on to be the writers for Natalie Cole and Whitney Houston. But they was writing our first songs, and something happened, and it was a big fallout. And anyway, Lakeside Records didn't happen. So we went back to Dayton, Ohio, and we kept the name just because we all grew up playing at Lakeside Park, where the Palladium was. And so we said, well, that represents Dayton, Ohio, Lakeside Park. We keep Lakeside Express. They had a train that ran around the park called the Lakeside Express, if you remember.
I remember.
Anyway, we kept that name. And as we, that name evolved every time we changed members, seemed like, because Shirley Woods, she didn't hang too long with all these roughnecks. So we brought back in Ricky Abernathy. And Ricky Abernathy was actually one of the very first nomads, and when he left, Mark Woods took his place.
Well, that's interesting because historically, and Tom, you can jump in here as well, we all remember the late George Tuck,
Right.
who was the owner of the Lakeview Palladium.
Mm-hmm.
Lakeside was a great amusement park back in the
Right.
50s and 60s. And in the early 70s, it started just to phase out. The roller coaster was old and the equipment was old.
I only rode it one time. It was made of wood.
It was made of wood. I don't think I got on it at all because every time I see
One
that roller
time,
coaster,
it was shaking and
it was too
everything.
wobbly
Oh,
for me.
no.
I don't think I got on it at all. So Lakeside became the Lakeview Palladium. Was George Tuck involved in the naming of Lakeside, the group? Did he have any?
No, I knew George quite well. He was a bit older than us.
Right, a lot older.
George had his hands in a lot of things.
Right.
But no, not really. No, he didn't.
Okay.
The story about the Lakeside, we'd always thought about that anyway.
Right.
And it so happens that Eddie Thomas,
Okay.
who was Curtis Mayfield's manager.
Right.
There was a contest in Chicago that the group had won right before I got with them. Me and Shirley got with them. But anyway, we end up there. And Eddie said, well, you guys got to change your name.
Right.
You're not always going to be young.
Right.
And we were running Young Underground.
Right. Right.
And the Nomads.
Right.
But anyway, long story short, and so me, Stevie, and Mark, we were out front, and we were recording on Lakeside Drive.
Right.
Right across the street was the Lakeside Press Company.
Right.
So we'd already had in our mind that we were going to do something about a lakeside.
Lakeside.
Right?
Right.
And so we came up with Lakeside Express.
Okay. Okay. So that's where that came from. All right. Well, that's good because the history, you guys could only straighten out the history because you are the history.
Right.
I remember when a dear friend of mine that was a friend of both of you guys, his name was Dick Griffey.
Dick, yes.
Who was president.
Our mentor.
Yeah, who was president and CEO of Solar Records, the Sound of Los Angeles.
He had you come out on tour a couple times, didn't he?
He had me come out on tour, and when he flew in to Stouffer's, when he signed you guys.
Stouffer's. Ooh,
Okay.
you really old.
Boy, I tell you, Stouffer's. I tell you, it was Stouffer's then.
Yeah.
And he was the nicest guy you ever want to meet from that perspective because we had, I believe you guys already had some product out there we were playing, but he came in. How did Dick end up with you guys?
Whew, we had, Stevie, you want to intervene on that?
Yeah, Steve, you want to come in and talk about when Solar signed you guys?
Yeah, that's cool. Well, we had done a stint with Motown, and Motown didn't ever release nothing on us.
Frank Wilson.
So we left, and Dick Griffey was our manager. He really liked the group. And so we went over to ABC Records, and one of the Motown producers, Frank Wilson, took us over to ABC Records.
Okay.
And that's when we dropped everything. We were the Ohio Lakeside Express. We was the Lakeside Express. But when we went to ABC Records, we dropped everything, and that's when we officially became Lakeside.
Okay.
We did our first album over there at ABC Records. And we had a record that was starting to go up the charts, but the record company folded. They had Shaka Khan, Lenny Williams, us, New Birth, Billy Davidson, Marilyn McCoo, over there. And when the record company folded, Dick Griffey and Don Cornelius started Soul Train Records. And that sounded interesting, but we were kind of scared because none of them were known record producers or anything. We didn't know. And Norman Whitfield he had his own label. He was doing Rolls Royce and Stargard and all of them. And Norman Whitfield wanted us to be there. But he wouldn't let us write songs. He wanted to write all the songs and stuff. I understood it because we had never written songs before.
Okay.
But we knew we wanted to write songs because, Ohio Players was writing their songs. And Roger and them was writing their songs, We figured we better start writing our own songs. That's the only way we're going to be successful because nobody knew how to capture us but us,
Okay.
So Dick Griffey said, hey, look, y'all come with me over at Soul Train, and I'll let you write half your album, and in case you don't know what you're doing, I got the other half to find some good songs, And so we was up there to sign with Soul Train Records, and Don Cornelius asked us, hey, why y'all signing the musicians? Because we was like a singing group with a backup band, And they had never heard of a singing group signing their band. So we just knew that we wasn't going to break up. Now, Dick Griffey said, shut up, Don. These guys want to sign 9 guys. Let them sign 9 guys, They can still split the same money. So
well, you guys have had hit after hit
Lakeside.
after hit all the way live, and how many gold and platinum records did you guys have over the years?
It was a few. It was a few.
I can't hear you.
And if you add in Stevie and Leon Silvers and my brother, because my brother worked with us in and out,
I
even
remember.
toured with
I
us.
remember.
Tons.
Right.
Tons, you know.
Well, one of the things that I know, but a lot of people may or may not know here on the Funk Chronicles, is Stevie, you wrote some other songs for like the Whispers and some of the other groups, didn't you?
Their biggest hits.
Yeah, you know, Lakeside, you know, we were moonlighting a little bit just because, you know, we got to just try to get in the door and make a little money. And, yeah, I wrote a song that I started making up for Lakeside, but I got with Leon Silvers, and we were writing a song together. And the next thing you know, we had written "And the Beat Goes On," you know.
Right. Right. And yeah, I mean, and I'm sure that song's probably sold 1 million copies,
easy,
or more. And that was just such a great thing. Tom, you are a board member for the.
May I say something before we go a little further?
Sure.
You know, I like to tell people the truth.
Right.
Keep it real. We come from that school.
Right.
And what a lot of people don't realize, Lakeside, we were the Rolling Stones of funk.
Right.
Here's what I mean by that. We didn't have a ton of major hits.
Right.
But nobody wanted to come on after us.
Oh, wow.
Our live show, because we were the first to mix a real band with real vocals.
Right.
You know, at that time and space that we were in, most groups only had one lead vocal. He'd get out there, you know, the band would try to step.
Temptations, David Ruffin.
Yeah, and that's the
Smokey
downfall that
Robinson.
was with Motown. They wanted us to be a Temptations.
Right.
And we said, no, we're a group.
Right.
We're a group. And
everybody performed.
yeah, and you know, got to keep it real, man. Nobody wanted, I mean, there's some major acts. I'm not going to mention their names. Tried to unplug us.
Well, that's why they call it show business, you know. And it's not all a bed of roses or Yellow Brick Road out there on the road.
You know, John.
And so, you know, been there, seen it from the other side,
right.
And being on stage and emceeing and being backstage and whatnot. Been out there with, you know, Rick James and some of the other people. So, but anyway, but you survived.
Right.
You survived.
Right.
And here it is, almost 40 years later.
40.
And you guys, you know, I heard you talk about you're coming up on another gig coming up in a few weeks. Talk about that.
Yeah, we're going to be in Anniston, Alabama. Ooh, our schedule's pretty full this summer.
Okay.
Right after that, we're in Sacramento.
Okay.
We're there with Coop now of Confunction.
Okay.
And Fazel's going to be there.
Excellent.
July, the one I just mentioned to you, we got about 3 or 4 dates.
Okay.
The one closest will be Indianapolis for the Indiana Black Expo.
Okay.
Patti LaBelle's going to be there, the Isley Brothers, DeBarge, us, Al Hudson, and Blackstreet.
Okay.
It's going to be a 2-day event.
Package.
It's going to be a 2-day event. So by the grace of God, yeah, we're getting you know, it's kind of easy because now, even the young kids, they want to see real entertainment.
And it's nice because you've been through 4 decades.
Right. You can bring your grandmother or your granddaughter.
Yeah, that's exactly right. You can bring that from those generation gaps.
Right.
And appreciate it. And the beautiful thing, and I was telling Lester and Zap, I took a position early in my career, in 1982, by listening to 2 particular artists. One was Rick James, Super Freak, and the other was Prince, Soft and Wet.
Okay.
And I had a premonition that I was not going to program music with blatant sex, drugs, and profanity in it.
Come on.
And so I sat down with management, and they looked at me like deer in the headlight. Why wouldn't, I said, I don't think we should be putting the lyrics in people's mind. Later on, moving to Central State University, we had gone from hip-hop to rap.
You were the program director up there, weren't you?
I was general manager, okay?
I'm sorry.
Moved from hip-hop to rap to gangster rap. Well, kids coming out of the inner city schools, first thing they want to hear was rap music. I banned all rap music at Central State. and I went back to school and worked on my doctorate in 1993, and my research was violent music makes violent kids.
That's right.
That's how I got my PhD. And the good thing about you guys, all the groups, Lakeside, Heatwave, Sun, Dayton, Platypus, Shadow, Roger, Zap, you know, Phazo, all the groups, I never had to worry about the lyric content. Never.
Well, we grew up that way. Our thing was like this. If we couldn't sing it in front of our mother,
Yeah.
we're not supposed to sing it.
There you go. Or your
daughter.
Your daughter, your little brothers and sisters. Steve, what's your take on Larry Conde? Because I know you've written some great hits, and all your hits have been good slamming hits. What's your take on that?
I really couldn't hear that earlier part of it.
Well, one of the things we were talking about, when you write a song, when a lot of artists today, when they write songs, they have to put sex, drugs, and profanity in that songs because they think that sells. Well, we know sex sells.
But you
don't have to put it in the record that somebody's going to listen to 1,000 times over and over and over again, and then react.
Impregnate their mind with it.
Impregnate their mind, and then react to the music that they hear. You've written some great hits over the years. What's your take on putting negative lyrics in music?
Well, I think that's the nature of what they've learned from the streets. You know, the streets have gotten, at that time, was gangster and all of that stuff. You know, and Lakeside was a group that would never make a record that their mother would have a problem with.
There you go.
You know, so these groups today, they made so much money that somehow moms will turn her back to the profanity and the sex and all of that stuff because their kids are making so much money, you know. So they let them go ahead and do that kind of stuff. And then a lot of these kids that were making this hardcore music, you know, they come from hardcore situations, you know, and I can't hate them, but I didn't particularly like what was going on.
Well, and you as a musician and a songwriter, it's understandable because you put the pen to paper and use your genius mind to write hits. I'm a programmer. I'm on the other side. You know, so I'm going to see it after it becomes a record,
right.
And then I've got to make a decision if I'm going to play it or not.
I'd like to say this, you know.
We got about 3 minutes.
Okay. I'd like to say this real quick. You're always going to have sex. Right. We know that. As you said earlier, sex sells. Right. I liken it to the difference in Hustler magazine, Playboy magazine.
Right.
You can talk about sex in a clean-cut way, believe it or not.
Well, and that's exactly right.
There's a difference in lust and love.
Well,
we like to talk about love rather than lust.
That's why I say blatant. Okay, you're a board member for the Funk Music Hall of Fame and Exhibition Center. What is your vision as far as putting this whole thing together, working with David Webb and some of the other members?
Well, I think at one time or another, we all that's in the music industry, funk, had a vision about a museum.
Right.
The difference, David had a dream.
Right.
There's a difference. He saw himself. He saw the building.
Right.
And I felt that. He explained it. I felt it. I've been down for it because I had a vision.
That's right.
That's why we're here today. That's why you're a part of it.
Exactly.
And I see it as a way and a means and an engine to show generations behind us and in front of us that it's a valid.
Leave a good legacy for
we had
our
talked about
children
legacy earlier.
and our grandchildren.
There you go.
To recognize.
And to take it, the music that we found, where we found it, further. That's the name of the game.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we've been talking to two great musicians, Tom Shelby from Lakeside and Steve Shockley, great musicians from Lakeside, great guys, still performing 40 years later. Whenever they're in your area, make sure you go see him. You're going to see a fantastic voyage. You're going to be taking on a fantastic.
I like that in you, John.
You're going to be taking on a fantastic voyage. Gentlemen, thank you for joining us on the Funk Chronicles.
Thank you for having us.
Hey, man. Dr. Turk Logan for the Funk Chronicles, and also Logan Communication and the Funk Music Hall of Fame and Exhibition Center.
Like us on Twitter and Facebook.
Like us on Twitter and Facebook. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.